and welcome to Interfaith New Thought Spiritual Center Worldwide, where we know that nothing happens by chance, that everything is by divine appointment. Today we are the two or three gathered together for a higher purpose. And in that higher purpose, we are the change that we want to see in the world. This is our theme. We are embodying being the change we want to see in the world. And when Gandhi coined that, I thought it was so perfect because it is about embodiment. It's about stepping into that reality that we want to see. Because as Dr. Ernest Holmes stated in the Science of Mind textbook, thoughts are things, words are molds. And so as we put this word out there, it creates in the form and the energy field of our reality. Today our topic is, are we judging or discerning? So if you tuned in at this moment, this message is for you, and we can ask ourselves, are we judging or are we discerning? Now, judgment is an interesting thing. It holds things in place from the past. It's looking outside of itself. And in our way of life, we believe that we enter the altar of life through compassion, through that energy, through the heart energy of compassion. So when someone is acting out and we do not agree with that behavior, we do not negate the person. We don't agree with the behavior per se, but it's a cry for love. It's a cry for help, to send out that love and that peace and that energy. We have a lot going on the planet right now. There's an amazing political climate. There's all kinds of things that have been going on truly for centuries. But as we stand firm in the circle of life, our own power circle, the ancient ones, the indigenous people said, do not turn to the right or to the left. Do not bleed energy. And what that meant was, don't give your power away to the things outside of you, but stand in your power circle, acknowledging that the universe and I are one. And through this oneness do we live and move and have our being. In this oneness do we flow. We don't agree with everything going on, but we are the change that we want to see in the world. Now, it's interesting because judgment, when we put that judgment out there, it reveals what we need to confront and what we need to learn. Discernment is also wonderful because it reveals what we have mastered. So when we can look at something with a discerning eye and see through the appearance, the condition, and the effect, and not be taken off balance by the appearances that show up in our lives. And I love a good challenge. And I am not daunted by small groups. So you know I speak all over the world as the president of the International Foundation for World Peace and Research. I have met some of the most wonderful people on the planet. On my board, I have Doctors Without Borders, Dr. Danny Schumad, who is the chief of staff. For years, he was the chief of staff of Hamburg University Hospital in Germany. He's now created a clinic in Africa at Madonna University in Nigeria, where we all meet once a year. And we speak the energy of truth. And that truth is, we are all one. And to speak to 25,000 students and faculty, and to know that beyond color, race, creed, or sexual orientation, that there is a oneness that arises in that energy field, and it's palpable. The love is palpable. Now, one of the great stories about judgment and discernment is about the old man who had a beautiful, beautiful white horse. And even the kings were jealous of this amazing white horse, and all the royalty would offer to buy the white horse. And he said, I can't sell my white horse. He's my friend. I wouldn't sell my friend. And so all the villagers laughed at him because he was so poor, and he refused to sell his white horse that was his friend. And as they laughed at him, he said, why do you laugh? Why would you take a fragment of something in my life and judge me? Just allow it to be that I do not choose to sell my white horse, no matter how much money I have. And lo and behold, one night, the white horse escaped. And now the villagers really laughed at him and said he was so poor. Now he's poorer than he was because the white horse has escaped. And the old man said, "Why do you laugh at me? This is just a fragment. We don't know what the totality has in store for me. So why do you judge?" And so he went about his way, and after 18 days, the white horse returned. And it was out frolicking in the world, but it brought 20 wild horses with him as they entered into the stable grounds. Now all the villagers thought, "What good fortune. Oh, this is a blessing. This is wonderful." And the old man said, "Why do you judge? This is an incident." You can just say, the white horse went out on an adventure, came back in 18 days, and all of these other wild horses followed. It's not good. It's not bad. I accept the totality of what is. And all of the villagers thought, "Oh no, he is a fortunate man." And we're judging behind the scenes. And then one day his son was out and he was trying to tame one of the horses, and the horse threw him and he broke his leg. And all of the villagers came in and said, "Oh, what a misfortune that your son, your only son, you were so poor, your only means of support, and now he is crippled. Oh, what misfortune." And the old man said, "Why is it misfortune? Why do you need to judge? Why can't it just be that my son was attempting to tame one of the horses, was thrown and broke his leg? It's not good and it's not bad. It just is. Only the totality knows the whole story." And soon the king's men came in and they were having a war, and they insisted that every able-bodied young man join the army. This was involuntary, and they took all the young men, able-bodied young men of the village to war. And all of the villagers were weeping and crying and said, "Oh, our sons, we are never going to see them again. Your son with the broken leg, at least you still have the experience of him." And they were crying and weeping and gnashing their teeth. And the old man said, "Why do you judge? Only the totality knows. Your sons will come back. You don't need to judge. When we judge, we only take a fragment. Would you take a book and take one word out of the book and say you've read the whole book? No, you wouldn't. Only the totality knows. So when we judge anything outside of ourselves, we put that energy on it, we're limiting the power of the totality. That everything, yes, is a blessing. Not necessarily a misfortune, because I believe that there are blessings in disguise. And when we get it, that everything is a blessing, then it arises to the surface as a blessing, and we do not give our power away to it. I remember seeing Sidney Poitier on a documentary, and I had read his book, This Life, which is wonderful, and he has a new book out called The Measure of a Man, not so new, but a Spiritual Odyssey. And he was talking about when he came to this country from the Bahamas, he said, "I didn't know how to read. And so I was a dishwasher at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. And every night at 11 p.m., an old Jewish man sat down with me, opened up the newspaper, and taught me to read. I don't know if he is alive or dead, but there is something of him in everything I do." And when I became an actor, and we were very poor, and I was offered this role, and I had a child, there was another child on the way, and I read the script, $750 a week, I was rich, but I could not play that part. And I had to discern, do I want the money, which I was in great need, or do I want to stand in my dignity and receive a part that I feel will create an energy field for all people of color. And of course, you know, he said his wife was not real pleased that he turned it down with the second child on the way, but suddenly other parts came in, lilies of the field. All the wonderful parts came in because he was discerning. And when we are discerning about who we are and the energy that we have to offer the world, something expands inside of us. But when we get caught up in the appearances, the effects, and the energy of what's going on, and we give our power away to it, then we have interpreted this experience as less than. All experiences allow us to step up to the plate of the energy of being all that we can be. And what I know for myself is that when I begin, you know, to look outside myself and feel that something is unfair, because the Course in Miracles stated something once that was an aha moment for me, and that was, beware of the temptation to see yourself unfairly treated. Think about it. Because the moment we see ourselves unfairly treated, we are giving our power away to the something out here. And I am in public life. I have, you know, I receive it all. I receive adulation and accolades and cursing and 666 across the ad and all of that kind of thing. We cannot take any of it personally. Remember the 4 agreements. The second agreement, the first one is be impeccable with your word. In other words, only utter those things you want in the outer. I utter what I want in the outer. I speak my word as one having authority. I speak it into the law of mind. The universe is amazing. It responds. That's why it's so important to stand really vigilant about what we put out into the universe. Thoughts are things, words are molds. They show up in our reality. They take effect. So as we acknowledge energetically that there's all this stuff that goes on, and if we perceive ourselves as unfairly treated, then we are shrinking to smaller proportions. But when I interpret it as, I'm out in the world, and I had a granny from Oklahoma, Tobacco Chewing Granny, and she used to say, if people aren't talking about you, you're no damn good. So at least you're making a difference. At least you're out there putting the works with the faith. Is everyone going to agree with us? No. That's all right. We draw the larger circle. He drew a circle that shut me out. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. Does that mean he's going to be our bosom buddy? No. It means that the God essence within them is what we salute. Do we agree with the behavior? No. So we take inspired actions. Judging outside of ourselves, name-calling and looking outside of ourselves is not going to make a difference. However, when we look at the world with eyes, discerning eyes, we see through these things and we begin to take inspired action. We put the works with the faith. We acknowledge that no matter what it looks like, many times it's the breakdown for the breakthrough. It's the falling apart so it can fall together at a higher level. And when things look chaotic, hallelujah, because they're breaking down so the energy can arise through that crystallized belief system. And we know what belief system is. It's BS, belief system, right? That has kept us stuck. It arises through that to the truth that sets us free to be who and what we are. So today we're intimate. We are the 2 or 3 gathered together. But our viewing audience, last week we had over 1,000 people watch this talk that we do every Sunday here at the Leisure Center. We love our community. We love to share and to say namaste and to feel that energy and that connection. There's nothing like that. And for you faithful that are watching, we want to see you in here next week. Absolutely. Because that is the energy that keeps us unfolding, growing, and expanding to be all that we can be. And I always say that metaphysicians are the largest group of non-joiners in the world because they don't know that there is a spiritual community that not only teaches what they've always known in their own private lives, but expresses it in the outer world. And I love what Gary Zukav said, that The group dynamic is what's going to change the world. Yesterday, Julian, who is our videographer, and he's behind the camera, but he's very faithful, had me narrate something for Humanity's team. And it was a lot of what ifs, you know, we could feel ourselves as one, and what if we could express our gratitude. A lot of what ifs. And what if there was no if? What if we came from the space, that grounded space of expressing our gratitude, expressing our love, expressing our light, expressing our energy, realizing that the planet is a living, growing thing, that we're part of it energetically, and that we begin to come from that place of love. So in discerning things, we see with the eyes of love. We don't have to agree with it, but remember, when we judge something, we keep it in place. It's a frozen feeling, and it reveals what we need to confront and what we need to learn. Discernment reveals what we've mastered. It looks through all of it with the eyes of understanding, with the eyes of compassion. I tear down the walls of opinion that separate my brothers and sisters from me. I set them free from the projection of myself so I may see them as they are. I will not measure them with the yardstick of yesterday, for perhaps in the night an angel revealed to them what they are, and today they may be that. Today, this moment, they may be that. We draw the larger circle, the circle of life, and express as one, because we are all going somewhere. And what we know is as we say, our higher yet. You that are viewing this message, I want to thank you for your donations. I want to thank our spiritual community that allows us to express energetically every Sunday morning, but it's your donations that makes the difference. It allows us to be here at the Leisure Center to put out our message. It allows us to do the things, to teach the classes, and to do what we need to do to grow as a community. There are certain physical laws as well. And when we put the works with the faith, and we have the faith as a grain of mustard seed, and we say to every experience in our life, remove, hence, because with God, all things are possible. Do you believe that? With God, all things are possible. Let's say that. With God, all things are possible. And where are we going? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. And so it is. God bless you, and it's a joy to be in this beautiful, intimate group this morning.